Drinker damage from hand, SI7 agents damage from hand, so a lot of things that Staz can't do much about, even if he does get taunts later on. But let's go straight into the game. It's going to be the Mage versus the Rogue as discussed, and Staz did take a loss yesterday with his Mage, and I think an actual winnable match for Staz, yeah, against Warrior. So let's see if he can do a little bit better today. Now he's had a chance to rest a little bit, and now he's up against Rogue, the other expected class in this tournament today.
Staz has some interesting options here. Book of Spectres you almost always want to keep. He's probably going to be happy that he's on the coin. Being on the coin as Mage with Book of Spectres means if you happen to draw all 3 minions with the book and you have a Giant in hand, you can play that on turn 3. So it's a pretty fast Giant if you can gear towards that. He opted to keep a Scale Armor, it looks like, and he tossed back the Voodoo Doll. Voodoo Doll is something you can keep. Well, at least I found myself keeping Voodoo Doll against Rogue occasionally when they're on the coin, because it's more likely that they can make an Edwin that you're like, oh, I don't want to lose on turn 3. But recognizing that che0nsu's on the play and doesn't have the coin, the chances of a big Edwin coming down are much slimmer, so he's looking for some other cards, not the Voodoo Doll. Yeah,
would you say, if the Rogue's on the coin, you would always keep a Voodoo Doll if you had it available, or does it really, is it one of those options that it depends on your hand?
It depends on your hand,
okay.
It also depends on your preference.
Okay.
Some people like to go for more... Are
you saying there's not just always 100% correct play, language?
Don't quote me.
Oh, I will. I think the whole of Twitch is quoting right now.
Right.
He did throw Book of Spectres with that draw as well, though, so not the end of the world, because he already has a good hand size, but still, it's just -1 card in hand. Something to consider here.
che0nsu just playing out the SI7 agent to have some pressure. I wouldn't be surprised to see just a Doomsayer coming out. Could also just set up the Jungle Panther if Staz chooses to.
There's also even potentially just coin Scaleworm, or even just coin Twilight Drake, and you can taunt it up next turn with Sun Fury if you feel the need to.
With che0nsu only running 1 sap in his main list, coining out a Twilight Drake does seem kind of tempting.
If they sap it, like, cool. Yeah. Fantastic.
Sapping it on turn 4, you don't have a lot else to do with your mana, right?
It's also Doomsayer, but it just feels so wonky, and you can potentially get better Doomsayers later on. Depending, for example, like turn 5 or 6, coin dependent, you can like Scaleworm to kill a threat and then play Doomsayer behind it. So you have like a Scaleworm that might be on 1 or 2 health, and then just have a Doomsayer stood there as well. So could create an awkward situation for che0nsu. Staz is going to go for the Scaleworm though. Doesn't want to mess around, just going to leave this minion on the board as a 5/1 and get rid of che0nsu's initial threat.
So in this position, from Staz's turn 3, I normally find myself wanting to coin out Twilight Drake. However, with that being the only dragon in hand, if he coins out the Twilight Drake, the Scaleworm is going to be stranded in his hand for now. So I think that's why he might have leaned towards playing the Scaleworm instead. We see from che0nsu's side, he just kills the Scaleworm with his dagger and develops Life Drinker.
Yeah, I do like that, actually, just getting the value, because it might be a while before another dragon's drawn, for all you know, so then that Scaleworm really would be stranded, as you say. And now, double Rabble Bouncer and a Safeguard. You start to just see the endless wave of taunts that Staz has opted for going into his main deck here. Let's see if it's enough, though, because I feel like this is the Hello Edwin turn. And this is brave. This is definitely a play you make when you just think, right, this either wins me the game or loses me the game. Because a lot of the time, if there is a way to remove Edwin, well, there's Backstab and a Leroy in hand for che0nsu. Like, there's not, and a full hand for Staz. So che0nsu's all in as far as I'm concerned.
che0nsu didn't have a whole lot going on, so recognizing that he kind of just has to go for Big Edwin here and try to push with that. If the game goes out much longer, he doesn't have much to develop, right? Just a deckhand and a dagger. So he opts for the Big Edwin play here, using his 1 of sap. So Staz should know this, and going forward, if he manages to stick some big minions, he might be able to sneak the Sun Fury in between them and try to block the oncoming damage from che0nsu. Not quite this turn, but hopefully in the future.
I wonder what's looking good here for Staz, because I feel like, although Rabble Bouncer's looking alright at 4 mana, the Proud Defender does the same job, but a little bit better. I guess the only difference is the Proud Defender dies to the Life Drinker Deckhand Dagger, and the Rabble Bouncer does not die on board, apart from soaking the Van Cleef, which you're probably okay with that happening anyway. Maybe that's enough to push you over the edge.
This turn is looking really choppy from Staz. I think it might just be Rabble Bouncer. If you play a Doomsayer this turn, it's honestly never going off. But he can use it to at least buy himself 7 health. Maybe 8 health if the Edwin happens to punch into it.
Yeah, with the ping, Staz is pretty much just saying to che0nsu, you either do something creative or Edwin goes in. And you have to imagine that che0nsu's hand quality with how all-in he went isn't good, right? That's just a general read you can make as Staz. If he went all-in like this, reduced himself down to 2 cards, those 2 cards probably aren't great. There's a worst-case scenario of Myra's, but that's it, and Myra's would have been played by now. I think if che0nsu had Myra's with the kill on the Doomsayer available, he would have just snap played it.
Yep.
che0nsu, I like it. Just pushing some damage, and you can peel off one of these little dragonies.
This is a nice place you can do as Rogue with Leroy. When you have the dagger equipped and your opponent doesn't have anything on board, you can just play out the Leroy, kill off the whelps, and say, this might hit you twice.
Oh, that's not a bad one though.
Yeah. Staz was probably looking at a safeguard turn, but now with the Ziliax Strike, he can consider if he wants to do that instead. He just saw a backstab come out. He knows the sap is gone, so this Ziliax might be able to connect to 2 separate minions.
Yeah, the worry with the safeguard is, though, if there's, I mean, well, actually, 1 sap's been played, right? So there's no saps left. Okay, okay. And he's just seeing backstab. Your opponent's on 2 cards with the draw. Maybe safeguard it.
The good thing about safeguard is, and that's the reason why it's in the deck. The Death Rattle summons another 0/5 taunt, so it's kind of like a new Sludge Belcher, a little different, but.
And with the power that's on board, either Van Cleef takes 4. Or Leroy dies, right? If you play safeguard for the first hit. So if you know what? Maybe I'm just flipped. I've gone on to back onto safeguard again here. It is mana efficient as well, so you can Ziliax ping the turn after. Ooh, going even different. Look at this Twilight Drake into the Sunfury Protector.
So this way the Twilight Drake comes down with 9 health. The Edwin's not enough to punch through it, so you have to use Dagger, or you can use the Edwin and the Life Trinket straight into it.
I don't know what I think about that, to be honest. Because the Dagger cleans this up nicely. Leroy lives, the 3/3 can still push face or trade. And the Leroy's not down to 1 health, so it can't be pinged off.
This is just lethal from che0nsu, I believe.
Oh yeah, with the Deadly Poison. Sorry, yeah, I was too busy looking at the board state and didn't even look at the card that was drawn. And just like that, Rogue does it again, and again, this is just a nod to the Life Drinkers as well. If say that change is a hench clan, right? Well, it wouldn't have done the same, right? More damage from hand means you can just make these burstier and more sort of